Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Key Time Sports. It's Key Time coming back to talk about the Eastern Conference Finals, New York Knicks versus Indiana Pacers, and the Western Conference Finals between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the OKC Thunder. I'm doing things a little bit differently today. I'm doing it on a stream instead of a recording. So I can see your comments live and right on the go. So let's get started with the first game, which was last night. Last night, the New York Knicks came into Indiana and won. Now, I've been saying that they've been a good playoff team on the road, and it showed last night when it comes to their statistics. As far as their starting five, we all know that the New York Knicks starting five is their best lineup. Outside of that, they don't have anybody else. And you can see that in the starters and the bench. Now, Mikal Bridges, 15 points. OG Anunoby, 16 points. Karl Anthony Towns, 24 points. Mitchell Robinson, 6 points. Jalen Brunson, 23 points. And I said last night, right after the game, it's basically a starting four. If you're gonna put Mitchell Robinson in the starting lineup, you're not gonna get many points from him. And you can see that he only had 6 last night. And also bench production, nothing to say about the bench. I mean, Miles McBride, he had a couple of shots that went in. Josh Hart, he's always strictly out there for defense, so you're not gonna get much offense from him. Dion Wright, Landry Shamet, that's basically all it was. And the Knicks, what they did differently in this game, they slowed the tempo down, they slowed the game down. See, this is how the New York Knicks are going to win this series. They need to shorten the game. Shot clock is 24 seconds. They don't need to start making a shot until about maybe 4 or 5 seconds left on the shot clock, because you want to spend as much time as you can getting the right shot, passing up good shots to get great shots. That is what the New York Knicks need to do. Pass up a good shot to get a great shot. That might be going down low into the paint and making 2 points and getting fouled. That might be the high percentage shot in some of these sequences, in some of these times in the game. Now, last night, Jalen Brunson, he had an okay game. He had 23 points. But one thing that I like, it was other New York Knicks players that came to the stretch, and they pretty much shouldered the load for Jalen Brunson. They did. They shouldered the load for him. And let me tell you all something. I am so excited for game four. But before I start talking about game four, I need to get into these Indiana Pacers right quick. So the Indiana Pacers last night, pretty much, that they were on site. They were silenced last night because New York Knicks, they started off. The Indiana Pacers, they started off hot. I mean, they were leading by 13 at halftime. They led by as many as 20. But one thing I can say is the New York Knicks, they erased the 20-point deficit and won the game, just like the Pacers did in game one. So now the Pacers, Pascal Siakam, 17 points. Aaron Naismith, 8 points. Miles Turner, 19 points. Andrew Nabart, 9 points. I kept telling people, Andrew Nabar, he is going to have a game where he is hot and he is cold. And he had a game where he was cold last night. He was 2 of 9, 0 of 3 from the 3-point line, 5 of 6 from free throws. And he had a plus minus of -11. Tyrese Halliburton had 20 points. Bench production for the Pacers: Obi Toppin, 8 points. Tony Bradley, 2 points. TJ McConnell, 12 points. Benedict Mathurin, 2 points. Ben Shepherd, 3 points. Now, I'm going to go down a list of every player that is in the Eastern Conference Finals, and I'm going to tell you how valuable they are on a scale of 1 to 10. And like I said, the New York Knicks, they don't have good bench production, and even if they do make it to the NBA Finals, OKC is probably going to blow out the New York Knicks. Because when you see their bench production for the Knicks, Miles McBride, he shows little to no value on the offense. Josh Hart, his value is way up as far as defensively. Dion Wright, no value. Landry Shamet, no value. Also, Pacers. Ben Shepherd, no value. Benedict Mathurin, at times he does have value. TJ McConnell, he is the glue to that second unit that comes off the bench. Obi Toppin, he is out there, strictly for his size, and he can also sometimes have a good game. Now, team statistics. It was a tale of two halves because Pacers, they dominated the first half. New York dominated the second half. Up by the Pacers had a lead as large as 20, and the Knicks, their largest lead was the final score. Their largest lead was 6 points. So field goal percentage, shooting from the floor, 43% for the Knicks, 44% for the Pacers. 3-point percentage, 20% for the Pacers, 34% for the Knicks. Now, that category pretty much sums up how the game was, why the game was so close. It really does, because you have one team that's 11 of 32, and you had the Pacers 5 of 25. And we all know that if you have a percentage shooting, a 3-point percentage shooting night like the Pacers have, you're not going to win very many games. Free throw percentage, New York Knicks 90%, Pacers 81. Total rebounds +1 for the Indiana Pacers. Offensive rebounds +3 for the New York Knicks. Defensive rebounds +4 for the Pacers. 32-28. Assists 21-13 in favor of Indiana. Steals 9-7 in favor of Indiana. Blocks even at 4. Total turnovers 15 for the Knicks, 14 for the Pacers. Now that's another reason why this game was so close. If you have multiple turnovers, you are going to lose. And in this case, the Knicks, they were lucky to win because the Pacers, they missed quite a few shots down the stretch. There were 3 shots where the Pacers missed in the final 2 minutes, and I said to myself, maybe the New York Knicks are going to win this game, because remember now, if anybody was watching the game in its entirety last night, with 6 minutes left, it was 98-94. And then all of a sudden, it started becoming a nip-tuck game, a defensive game, and the game was tied at 100. And I thought that it was going to go into overtime. But one thing, Tom Thibodeau, he made the right decision of taking Mitchell Robinson out of the game and putting Jalen Brunson back in. That's what he should have did in game 3. So Mitchell Robinson, when the fourth quarter begins, Tom Thibodeau for the rest of the series need to put Mitchell Robinson on the bench, because the Pacers, they will be playing hack of Robinson. And we all know that Robinson is not a good free throw shooter, so he serves no value late in the game. He doesn't. So points off of turnovers, 22-8 in favor of the New York Knicks. Fast break points, 16-2 in favor of the Pacers. Points in the paint, 40-32 in favor of the Knicks. Largest lead was 20 for the Pacers, and largest lead was 6 for the New York Knicks. Game 4 is tomorrow night. Now I can say if the New York Knicks even up this series at 2 games apiece with 3 games left, the Knicks have game 5 and game 7 at home in Madison Square Garden. So it'll be the best of 3 with one team having to win 2 in order to get to the big dance in the NBA Finals. Now, New York Knicks, they have a lot of momentum. They need to keep this momentum going into game 4 and game 5. I'm so excited for game 5 right now. But the New York Knicks, they have to focus on game 4. They got game 3 in Indiana last night. Let's see if they can get game 4, keep this momentum going, and make this a competitive series, just like the Western Conference Finals are now a competitive series, which leads me to my next series, the Minnesota Timberwolves and the OKC Thunder. Now, Saturday night, I knew something was going to be different for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I really did, because Minnesota, they got blown out in OKC twice in games both 1 and 2, and I noticed from the first quarter of game 3 something was just very different with OKC. Shea Gildress-Alexander, he wasn't getting to the free throw line like he usually do. But that's the difference of being at home and being on the road. At home, you're going to get some good home cooking. The referee is going to be on your side. But going on the road, that's when the adversity hits you the hardest. Now, OKC is still up in this series, but game 4 is tonight. The Timberwolves, if they win game 4 tonight, it'll be an even series, and it'll be anybody's series. So I'm gonna go back to game 3, ruffle the feathers for game 3, and then give my preview for game 4. Chet Holmgren, 10 points. Jalen Williams, 13 points. Isaiah Hartenstein, 6 points. Shea Gildress-Alexander, 14 points. Had a bad night. Luguentz Dort, 6 points. Jalen Williams, 2 points. Dylan Jones, 10 points. Ozami Ding, 6 points. Kenrick Williams, 8 points. Alex Caruso, 3 points. Isaiah Joe, 2 points. Aaron Wiggins, 5 points. Cason Wallace, 2 points. AJ Mitchell, 14 points. Wow. Almost everybody for the OKC Thunder played because it was a blowout. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, Julius Randle, 24 points. Jaden McDaniels, 10 points. Rudy Gobert, 7 points. Mike Conley, 6 points. Anthony Edwards, 30 points. Josh Minort, 0 points. Leonard Miller, 11 points. Luke Garza, 7 points. Naz Reid, 10 points. Dante DiVincenzo, 6 points. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 12 points. Jalen Clark, 4 points. Terrence Shannon Jr., 15 points. Rob Dillingham, 0 points. And Joe Ingles did not play because of coach's decision. Now, one thing, Minnesota, they held serve at home. Can they do that again tonight? Now, you already know who I have as the X factors for this series on both sides, on the Thunder side and the Timberwolves side. But one thing that I can say is that Shea Gildress-Alexander needs to have a better game. Just because the whistle does not go in favor of Shea Gildress-Alexander, he has to play through the whistle sometimes. Even though sometimes he wants to get a foul call that can go his way, he is gonna have to take over the game like he did in games 1 and 2. Well, in game one, he really didn't have an efficient game, but he had acquired 31 points. And it's odd for me to say a player that has acquired 30 points. Now, for game two, he had 38 points with the level of efficiency. That was great. That was wonderful. Now, you have a little bit of adversity. OKC had adversity in the last series. We all know the last series that OKC played, it went to a seventh game, and they had to beat Denver at home in a game seven. Minnesota, in this case, got Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards, he is a confident player. He feel like that he can go into any arena and beat that team into an oblivion. And that's the kind of player you want leading a franchise. You want a confident and yet a vocal player. See, that's the difference. That's the difference now between these players now and when these players 10, 15 years ago. They are very vocal now. That's that's why in this day and time it's better to be vocal and not be mild mannered and humble. And I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I done been mild mannered. I've been mild mannered over the past 2 years. Over the past 2 years. Where has that got me? It's got me, y'all. It's gotten me more viewers. But now it is time that we get to our vocal stage. Everybody that is associated with Key Time Sports, we about to become vocal. Everybody that's associated with Key City Sports, we about to be vocal. We are going to say what needs to be said, and we don't care who don't like it. We don't care who don't like it. So one thing I can say is some of these players on the Minnesota Timberwolves, they have no value. They don't have any value. See this Jalen Clark. Why is he even playing? See, he only played 9 minutes. Don't have no value. Rob Dillingham, only 1 point. He don't have no value. Chris Finch, I don't know what lineup you are trying to, what bench lineup you are trying to do or trying to, put in play. But OKC, they gonna win this series because bench production, OKC has the advantage. Now, only way the OKC Thunder lose this series is if they start turning the ball over and they have another bad shooting night like they did in game three. Game three, that was not the OKC Thunder. If I'm the Thunder, I'm not even looking at the game three tape. I'll just throw that junk in the trash can and say, hey, we just gonna scratch game three and we're gonna get back to what we do as if I'm the Thunder coach. Now, as far as the Minnesota Timberwolves, you got home court for game four. If I'm Minnesota, I'm trying to tie this series up and then make this series a best of three and try to get one of the next three games that are in OKC, two in OKC and one in Minnesota. That's what I'm trying to do. But we got to see how everything unfolds tonight because OKC, they facing adversity. And like I've been saying, this is a young team, but how are they going to overcome adversity? We saw what they did against Denver, and now we are about to see what they are going to do versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. And with that, those are my reactions to game three of the Eastern Conference Finals. Indiana Pacers, New York Knicks, game three, and my reaction to game three of the Western Conference Finals between OKC and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Game four is tonight, and the OKC Thunder is a 3.5 point favorite. So, do the OKC Thunder cover tonight and win, or does the Minnesota Timberwolves some way, somehow even this series up and make this series a best of three for the right to go to the NBA Finals. We will see tonight. Tonight, the game starts at shortly after 8:30. Everybody have a great day. And also, happy Memorial Day, everybody. Just go out there, have some fun. Be safe, be safe, be safe. Be safe, be safe, be safe. And I want to see you all back in here again tomorrow. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, click the notification bell to get notified of all of my reaction videos, shows, and other content. Also, we are doing an expansion right here on YouTube. The expansion is going great. By the time football season gets in, we are going to have a bunch, and I do mean plenty, plenty of subscribers and followers every day. Every Monday, I'm going to come in here and do a live show reacting to what I saw from the weekend in college football and NFL football. So if you want to see that, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Not only just on here, but on my other show on Key City Sports too, because you do not want to miss the content that I have in store. And for all you betting men and women out there, hey, I can put y'all on some winning streaks now with my predictions. So everybody have a good day. And remember, happy Memorial Day.